barely get out my door today. Poor old truck's all covered. Look at it. I didn't even know if that was a truck. It was such a mound. Oh. What will the rest of the winter bring? Will we survive? Well, I think I got this thing fixed for my daughter-in-law. This it's not a Thomas, it's something else. I think she'll be happy with that. Those of you who keep up with my videos, you know that on this Heathkit OL1 oscilloscope, I needed a capacitor to be used in a filter network for the tube, and I didn't have one. All I had was this one, yet and the one that was in there was bad. And I'm a junk collector sent me a .015, capacitor rated at 2,000 volts. And I said, you know, that'll work. It takes a 0.1, but a 0.015 will work for checkout purposes, and it did. So, you know, I figured next time I put an order in for stuff, I'll just go ahead and grab, you know, a replacement 0.1 1200 volt capacitor for it and get it in. It'll work. Well, before I could get all that done, Mike, our good subscriber, Mike, 1946, he sends me a package the other day when I got home from work. I didn't know it was coming. And look what's in that puppy. A stick of dynamite. Nah, it's as big as the original. This must be an NOS or something. This is a 0.1 1600 volt rated capacitor. So what we're going to do is I'm going to remove the 0.015 that was sent to me by I'm a Junk Collector, and we're going to go ahead and stick this one in. I'll have to stick it up on top. I don't know, you know, I don't even know how they fit those. The original was this size also. I don't even know how they fit those two in there. They must have stacked them one on top of another. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'll take this one out and I'll put this one in, and it'll have to sit on top of the orange drop because I have to be able to clear this area so when I put the case back on, it slides by it. So let's go ahead and get the white one out and get the black one in. Well, my old brain finally kicked into gear. I decided to go ahead and take a look at the assembly manual that's online for this thing, and sure enough, there are the two large capacitors, and they did in fact stack one on top of another. Well, that's the best I can do on that. And I'm not going to clip off this long lead right here until I find out if this thing is going to work okay. Like I said, it looks like an old NOS type. It's probably good, but you never know, you know. And we'll go ahead and clean this side and get it looking good. Want everything to be good looking before we call the job done, you know. Well, let's power it up and see what happens. Well, there we go. All right, we got that thing in there. It's perking right along real good now. Now there's a little bit of flickering on the screen. That's because of the, you know, the unit is picking up a little static in the air and everything. I have a lot of machinery around me right here, a lot of electrical stuff, computer, printer, stuff like that. Anyway, you know, before I put the new capacitor in there, it would take almost 4 to 5 minutes for the trace to appear on the screen. So I guess the one that I'm a Junk Collector, you know, was much smaller capacity. It just didn't have the capacitance level needed to bring the trace up right away. But as soon as I put that big one in there, supplied by Mike, it came up within 30 seconds. It was on the screen. So that's a whole lot better. And also with this one in here, when I went to the top and to the bottom with the vertical, moving it up and down like that, I would get a double trace at the bottom, and right about here it would start with another double trace at the top. So I had to kind of keep it in the middle like that to get the single trace. No more problems with that either way. Well, considering what Mike did, and I'm real happy about what I'm seeing right now. I mean, I wish he hadn't have done it, you know. I mean, he just popped out of the blue there and did it on his own. Thoughtful fellow. And you know, a lot of you guys are like that here on this channel. I just feel like I'm a burden sometimes, you know, when people send me stuff like that. I hate to even mention what I need anymore, because there's always going to be some guy firing it through the mail to me. Yeah, I tell you what, I need $1 million. Anytime, guys, anytime. Well, Well, I guess I can't stop any of you. You know, you're grown men. And women, I guess. By the way, speaking of women, how come I never get any comments from the ladies? Do I even have a lady out there anywhere that watches my videos? I never hear from them. I never hear a comment. I never hear, "Hi, John, I'm Cindy out in California," or something like that. Not a thing. We need to have some more lady inputs here. Anyway, as far as this goes, the net capacitor, we all know what this means. Shout out to Mike 1946. And now for I'm a Junk Collector, Don, up there in Ohio. You know, I watched your video. You're going to have to repair your oscilloscope there. If you need this 0.015 2000 volt capacitor, you need to let me know. Don't you be buying another one. You let me know. I'll stick it in an envelope and send it back to you. You know, these things are too expensive to be wasting money on. And I really appreciate what Don did there for me. And we got this baby up and running. And now it's running even better yet. And February isn't even here yet. Max says I gotta wet this pole down. I just gotta do it. There we go. I gotta wet that pole down. Gotta keep that pole growing. He says, "What is this? Oh, I like this." These junipers look really good, you know, after snow. I just like the way they look. Lots of different texture, you know. I'm putting the finishing touches on our Oscilloscope. Seems to be one of those never-ending projects, you know. Anyway, the legs, I think 3 of the 4 legs were missing off the bottom of this thing, and it's beginning to get a little scraped up from setting it around, so I went out and got myself some more of these 1-inch stick-on felt pads. I use these a lot on the bottom of the old radios. They work good for everything, you know, and the best part about it is if they fall off or at a later date, you can just peel the rest of it off and put another one on. So I'll go ahead and get that done, and we'll call this project completed. By the way, I picked these things up at Lowe's. They come in a package of 16 for about, I don't know, about $3 and some change. Handy little items. They come in different sizes too. You can get great big ones or real small ones. I have received another package. But I knew this one was coming. The individual, whose name is Mike, he lives up in Wisconsin. He contacted me as a result of a posting I did to the Antique Radio Forum. And we discussed back and forth a couple of emails, and he said, "Oh, I'll tell you what," he said, "I got something that might help out with the problem you were talking about in your thread on the forum, and I'll go ahead and send it to you." And I said, "Okay, fine." And I told him make sure he tells me how much it costs, because I'll go ahead and reimburse him. I don't want anything to come out of his pocket. Already I can see a lot came out of his pocket. The shipping cost was $14.95. And this thing is a lot heavier than I expected. It's over 3 pounds. As a matter of fact, it's 3 pounds, 14 ounces, almost 4 pounds. For some reason, I had it in my mind it'd be a lot smaller. But let's go ahead and open it up and see what it is. Well, Mike certainly packed it well. So let's go ahead and let's keep digging. And there it is. Anybody know what that is off the top of their head? Just by looking at it? Let's get it all the way out. You know, if I had just received this thing through the mail and didn't know what it was, it just sort of arrived, you know, I'd be looking at this thing thinking, what the heck is this, you know? And I know some of you are, you know, thinking the same thing. It's obviously an electrical box with some outlets on it with an electrical cord, but what is it? What is it used for? Well, I'm going to tell you what it is, but not until I open it up. It is a bucking transformer. What the heck is a bucking transformer? I know that's what you're saying, because that's what I would have asked. It is a transformer that has 120 volts on the primary coming in from the wall and 6.3 volts going out the other side. Now you can use that transformer. I'm not exactly certain how it operates. I've always found these things to be too confusing, so I actively avoided making one because I really wasn't sure how they worked. But essentially, you've got your green wire, of course, is grounded, which he has right here, and you got your two wires coming in, white and black, from your wall, and going through the primary of the transformer. And then out of the secondary, you have it's tapped off to one plug, and then it continues on through completely through the secondary, and ends up, through this receptacle to the return. And what that does is it gives you 116 here, depending on where it's tapped off, of course, 116 here and 110 here. This will take a higher wall voltage and cut it down to these two voltages. And he uses, the fellow that sent this to me, Mike, he said he puts these inside of his radios where they'll fit. Some people don't do that. They just go ahead and plug their radios into it and move it from radio to radio as needed. And matter of fact, Lockmeister, our good and intelligent subscriber, John is his name, Lockmeister, he built one similar to this for a radio that he had, only he used an auto transformer. I'll go over that here in a second, which was also a great idea, auto transformer or the bucking transformer. So this is what it is, and it's just simply tapping it off, and it pushes back on the voltage coming through the walls. That's the best way I can explain it for our newbie friends. It pushes back in a reverse phase, I believe it is, which cuts the voltage down. It sort of cancels it out, a certain amount of voltage, depending on what the secondary of the bucking transformer is. If it's 10, 20, 30, 50, 1,000 volts, whatever. This is 6.3. So let's button it back up, plug it in, and do a test of each of the sockets to see if we're getting 116 and 110. Well, out of the top plug, which is, it would be this one right here, actually. This thing, the drawing is actually reversed from what that is. I should be getting 116. I'm getting, come on now, make contact now, people. It doesn't want to make contact. Come on. There we go. I'm getting 116. There you go, a little over 116. Now let's take it out and put it in the other one. Now I'll be labeling this, by the way. I have a label maker machine here. I'll go ahead and label it. Put 116 there. And this one is just about 110. All right. That thing is working. Now, actually, I'm still not 100% sure how it's done, but I'm happy to get it, and I greatly appreciate what Mike has sent. He offered it, and we talked about it. He sent it to me, and I'm going to be using this in conjunction with my Hammarlund. And I'm not going to mount it inside or anything. I'm just going to leave it on the outside and see what kind of a difference it makes in the transformer temperature. Now, the transformer is not that hot, but it is very warm, according to that chart that I did in the last Mish-Mash video. Anyway, we all know what that means. Shout out to Mike in Wisconsin. I'll tell you what, I think what I'll do is wrap up this video. I'm in the midst of making another video, by the way, about the wiring of our chassis, which is our next project. And I'd like to get that finished up in the next day or two. Anyway, let's go ahead and, I just turned the Hammarlund on, HQ129X, and I've got my little temperature sensor here, my little infrared, and we're going to test the temperature right in the beginning of the transformer, see what we get. Well, according to this, it's only 73 degrees, and it's climbing slowly, as you can see. All right, we'll test it in about 45 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and plug it into the bucking transformer that was sent by Mike, and we'll see if the temperature comes down. Be a great experiment to wrap up this video with. While we're waiting for that thing to warm up, I want to show you something I bought. I can't remember if I showed this to you or not a while back. This is a little lamp that has a glass thing on it. This is for the ladies out there. This is really cool. And there's a light bulb down in there that gets pretty darn hot. And this is real glass, this thing right here. Colored glass on a touch base. And you pour your smelly stuff in there and set it on there like that. And it comes in little bottles like this. Now this one is called Oxygen. This one is called Happy Ending. Okay? And it just makes the whole house smell really good as it gets hot. And like I said, it's touch base, so it gets goes out, then you touch. I always keep it on high. Anytime I'm over here at the bench messing around, I turn on the radios or whatever. I just plug this baby in and just let her stink. She smells good. They have so many different things. Now, they're not cheap, don't get me wrong. They're like a couple bucks a bottle, $3 maybe. But they last a long time. Which reminds me, I think I've used this oxygen. I'm down pretty low on the oxygen, as you can see. I'm getting kind of low there, so I need to pick up some more. Now this is how much voltage I have coming into our house, which is way high. You know, normally it runs about 123. Well, that's what our voltage is still running. Let's go ahead and open this baby up. Take a temperature reading. Turn down the volume on this thing. Here we go. $127.5 degrees. Right around 126, 127. Okay, that's good enough for me. Now I'm going to shut it down and plug it into the bucking transformer, and we'll let it run for another 45 minutes. Well, there it is in the 110, and as you can see, we're getting a lot of static. Let me shut this off, make sure this is not doing it. Well, that's exactly what it was. How about that? Just goes to show you, folks. Goes to show you. Well, here's one for all you smart guys out there. I have it plugged into the 116 waiting for the 45 minutes, but I went ahead and put this back on. Now watch what happens when I shut it off. There's no change at all. Now watch what happens when I go up step by step. When I get to the top light, the brightest light, watch. Now there's one for all you smart guys to figure out, because I have no idea. Alright, it is time for the second reading. That lid feels pretty warm, actually. I don't know why. Let's take another reading here. Oh my goodness. 137, that can't be right. But it is. It's still climbing. 139 degrees. Uh-oh. Something she's not right. Well, we'll have to worry about it when I get back from dinner. Wifey wants to go downtown, get something to eat. Alright, it's been an hour and a half. Let's see what we got. I'm not going to go a full 2 hours on this. 143 degrees. Man, that really sucks there. That's really bad. And for my final trick, we're going to go ahead and leave it in the 110. Now, the 110, I'll tell you what, I'm not going to leave it in the 110. I'm going to put it in the 116. I'll tell you why. The 110 sensitivity, the voltage was so low sensitivity. I mean, I could only pick up strong stations. Everything else just was gone, okay? So I'm going to have to go with the 116. And remember this thing, for those of you who've been watching this mess on my Mish-Mash videos, I built that thing a while ago. I never did put the power resistors in it to bring the voltage down the 30 volts that it had increased to B+. And what I'm going to do, since the voltage is already down, utilizing the bucking transformer, let's go ahead and plug this thing in. All I'm looking for, again, is whether or not the transformer cools down. If the transformer does not cool down, then I have an internal problem underneath the chassis somewhere. I'm going to have to figure out what it is if I can get this stupid thing in. Yeah, here goes. Go ahead and crank it up. The 30 volts, you know, should be a little bit lower. Utilizing this, it should be enough to, you know, it's not like I'm going to run it for 10 hours. You know, I'm going to run it to see if there's a reduction in temperature of the power transformer. For those of you who may not really fully understand what we're doing here, with this tube here in the socket, the B plus runs 30 volts lower than it does with that solid state, those two diodes that I have in there. So now the voltage runs 30 volts higher, because these tubes, they do drop voltage. They do have internal resistance, okay? And I have it plugged into the bucking transformer at the 116 volt socket outlet receptacle. So this will lower it, this will increase it, so maybe we'll find some kind of happy balance there. And if it drops the temperature in the of the power transformer, then I'll make a decision and let you know what it is. Alright, last test, plugged into the 110, utilizing the solid state rectifier. Last temperature reading, let's see what we get. 133, 134. Let me back it up, maybe that makes a difference if I come out here away from it. Now, it's above 130, 129. Totally sucks. Okay, that's it. That's it for now. K2BEW. Tom, up there in New York. You have a Hammarlund HQ129X. I don't know if you have one of these or not. If you do, would you mind taking, you know, run the thing for about 45 minutes or so, and then take a temperature reading of your power transformer. I'd like to do a comparison, okay? But obviously I have a problem underneath the chassis right now. Something's drawing a lot of current. I got to figure out what it is. But I would like to have, you know, if your transformer, Tom, is running the same temperature as mine, I'm not going to worry about it. But if yours is running way down, nice and cool and everything, this one here is pretty hot to the touch. Yeah, that's pretty hot. You know, I wouldn't want to keep my hand on it too long. Anyway, I'd appreciate a little help in that area. Okay, I'll leave you with this. This is Lockmeister's auto transformer solution that he had for his radios rather than make a bucking transformer. And the name of this video, he did this video back in March of 2010. And he was doing an RCA 810K at the time. And the title of the video is The Problem with Voltages. He shows you exactly how he did it. And he did an outstanding job. So if you want to know about auto transformers as opposed to a bucking transformer, this is the video to watch. Alright? Anyway, we're going to call this one quits for now. It's going on far too long. And I hope to have better news next time. So until then, this is John.